here, a whole new world tracks open.
I don't know what I'm really thinking now. I was a very sought after underwear model.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 comedy film Sweet Dreams. The film is written and directed by Lee G. Saki and it stars Johnny Knoxville. We have Kate Upton, Bobby Lee, Gator, Jay Moore and Brian Van Holt. Now the film focuses on Johnny Knoxville's character Morris, who is an alcoholic, essentially. I think it's set in the early 90s as well, the film. He wakes up on a park bench, got absolutely smashed the night before. He left his daughter home alone while he went to a party, and he's realised that his life has kind of hit rock bottom here. So he kind of checks himself into Sweet Dreams, which is a sober clinic, I suppose. It's where a group of men live with each other, deal with their problems, their addictions, do therapy. Now, whilst there, they learn that the home is going to be shut down shortly. They need money and they need it fast. And there is a local softball event, and the winners of that event will get $80,000. They all decide to kind of put their differences aside and work as a team in order to try and win this softball competition. Right, what are my thoughts on Sweet Dreams? Well, I mean, this is a fairly typical, run-of-the-mill, generic, if you like, underdog sports story here, with the undercurrent of the very real and, tangible addiction storyline that goes through it. So this is not what you would describe as like a farcical comedy or a rude or an edgy comedy. It's not that type of comedy. It's in actual fact quite a grounded in many ways and thoughtful comedy, which might surprise many of you seeing that Johnny Knoxville's in it. Now I've been over the years impressed with Johnny Knoxville. He's done a lot of films now. Obviously, everybody still associates Johnny Knoxville with Jackass, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? He is the godfather of that show. But he is, in actual fact, a pretty decent actor going. If I'm going to be particularly honest here. Right back in the days, in the early noughties sort of thing, when he started turning up and stuff. And he has done some pretty decent stuff over the years. And he does a decent job here as this troubled character, Morris, who is wanting to do better with his life, wanting to move on from addiction, not be an alcoholic, and be a better person for his daughter especially. And that's the same with many of the other people in this home, living with him, living with different addictions. Now, I think the issue with this film is that can only kind of get you so far in this film, because a lot of the characters that he kind of interacts with in this house are like, they don't feel like real people. Now, Johnny Knoxville's character, Morris, feels like a real person. And you could argue maybe there's one or two that feel real. The guy that runs the place, Pete, I think he's called, he feels quite genuine and real. But the others, they kind of don't feel like real characters. They don't feel like they've been written to be real. And this is where the film kind of becomes at odds with each other. This is when the comedy becomes at odds with the serious message that is led through the film of addiction. Because I think they either needed to go full tilt and make this a full-on comedy, laugh out loud comedy, and it could still have had that message in it. But what they actually shy away from what you would describe as traditional comedy and lean more heavily into the drama side of the characters and the stories. But that's at odds with the way some of these characters have been written, because they don't feel like real people. I feel like they'd be given like these weird quirks that don't sit right, sort of thing. So it's constantly at odds with each other, this. And then it kind of throws this dodgeball scenario in. You know the movie Dodgeball, where, Vince Vaughn's got to win all this money at the dodgeball competition to keep his gym open. They throw this kind of thing into the film, and it felt silly. I don't necessarily feel as though the film needed this. If we don't get some money soon, this home is going to get closed down. It didn't feel like it needed that, just to connect these characters. Just to connect these characters with the softball games that they were playing, and they could maybe enter a tournament. They didn't necessarily need to win it or to win the money. They could have just connected as characters and kind of got us fully on board with them, but no, they kind of had to add this other layer of uncertainty to the storyline, and I felt like it kind of harmed it. And because I didn't really connect with many of these characters. I couldn't really connect with them as in like this underdog type story. It didn't kind of sit massively comfortable with me. Because I just didn't find myself particularly rooting for them. And Johnny Knoxville, like, coaching them, it didn't feel like, there was... I don't know. I mean, some of these sports stories, they kind of follow a very similar blueprint, really terrible at the beginning, and they start getting better and better and better, and then you kind of like, oh, they're going to do it sort of thing. And that's kind of what we get here with this. But it kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't click with me. It didn't kind of get me excited and get me, really behind these characters. So I think there's the bones of a really decent film here. I think it's trying to say something important, obviously, about addiction and seeking help and speaking out and all that kind of stuff, which I really, really think is very important. But where the film fails is in the comedy side of it. It's not what you would call a laugh-a-minute film, but at the same time, it's an easy watch film, I suppose. At the same time, it's not an uncomfortable watch, and it's not a poorly made film. So fairly middle of the road stuff here, but if it sounds interesting, then definitely give it a chance. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.